Liam Carter had lived through the end of the world. He had seen the sky turn red with fire as meteors rained down, obliterating everything they touched. He had watched the rivers rise and consume towns whole. And when it was over, when the last of the storm settled and the final broadcast faded to static, he had chosen to disappear. Survival required two things: isolation and a loaded gun. For 10 years, he had kept to himself. The ranch, his wife's old garden, overgrown now, his rifle, and his dwindling supplies. That was all he needed, until she arrived. Liam barely slept that night. He sat in his chair, his rifle across his lap, staring at the locked front door. The girl, Hannah, slept restlessly on the couch, shifting every time the wind rattled the window. She was running from someone. And if they came knocking, Liam needed to be ready. When the sun crept over the horizon, Liam nudged her awake. "Get up. We're leaving." Hannah rubbed her eyes. "Where?" "Town. I know someone who can help." She hesitated. "You trust them?" "No," he admitted. "But I trust them more than I trust whoever's after you." Chapter 3. The Town of Ghosts. Liam hadn't been to town in years. What used to be a thriving community was now a skeleton of its former self. Abandoned stores, shattered windows, and roads cracked from years of neglect. Dr. Tracy's old clinic was one of the few places still standing. He knocked twice. A few moments later, the door creaked open, revealing a woman in her 40s, a pistol in hand. "Liam Carter," she said, raising an eyebrow. "Didn't think I'd see you again." "Need a favor," Liam muttered, stepping aside to reveal Hannah. Dr. Tracy studied the girl. "She in trouble?" "Big trouble," Liam confirmed. Tracy sighed. "Come in. Quickly." Inside, the air smelled of old medicine and dust. Tracy motioned for Hannah to sit while she turned to Liam. "What exactly am I helping with?" Before he could answer, the distant sound of helicopter blades filled the air. Liam's stomach dropped. "They found us." Tracy locked the door and grabbed a shotgun. "Who the hell is after this girl?" Hannah's hands clenched into fists. "Mercenaries," she whispered. "They take people like me." Liam exhaled sharply. He had heard rumors about people being taken, sold off to the rich who lived on offshore islands. Now it wasn't just a rumor. It was real, and Hannah was proof. The helicopter circled above, its searchlight sweeping across town. Then a voice echoed through a speaker. "We know you're in there. Hand over the girl, and we'll leave peacefully." Liam tightened his grip on his rifle. "They're lying." Dr. Tracy looked at him. "Then we fight." The next few minutes were chaos. The mercenaries stormed the building, but Liam and Tracy were ready. Gunfire erupted, echoing through the empty streets. Hannah hid behind the counter, clutching a knife. Liam took down one mercenary, but another tackled him, knocking his rifle away. Hannah didn't hesitate. She grabbed a glass bottle, smashing it over the attacker's head, giving Liam a chance to finish him. Tracy yanked Hannah up. Time to run. They bolted to the back alley, Liam covering their escape. The helicopter roared above them. "We have to get out of town." Hannah gasped. Liam nodded. "There's a train, the Covenant. If it's real, it's our best shot." Dr. Tracy hesitated, then tossed Liam a backpack. "Take her. Find the train." "What about you?" Liam asked. Tracy smiled grimly. "I'll buy you some time." Then she turned and fired at the approaching mercenaries, drawing their attention. Liam didn't look back. He grabbed Hannah's hand and ran. Their journey was just beginning. Liam didn't waste a second. He grabbed Hannah's arm and dragged her toward the back door. More shots rang out, kicking up splinters from the wooden walls. A deep voice boomed from outside. "You don't have to die for her, old man." Liam scoffed. "I'm not that old." He pushed Hannah toward the barn. "Stay low and move fast." They sprinted across the yard, barely making it behind the barn before another round of gunfire erupted. Liam pressed his back against the wooden wall, his heart pounding. This was suicide. Hannah crouched beside him, clutching her knees. "You don't have to do this," she whispered. Liam wiped sweat from his brow. Too late for that. The mercenaries were closing in, their flashlights sweeping across the ranch. Liam exhaled sharply. If we stay, we die. If we run, we have a chance. You up for that? Hannah swallowed hard and nodded. Good. Then follow my lead. The two of them bolted through the trees, using the shadows for cover. Liam knew the land better than the men chasing them. But that wouldn't matter if they had more firepower. And they did. A helicopter roared in the distance, its spotlight scanning the terrain. They brought a damn chopper? Liam muttered. Hannah stumbled beside him. I told you they're serious. Liam glanced back. The mercenaries were moving fast, too fast. If they didn't find a way to shake them, this was going to be a short trip. Then Liam spotted it. A river cutting through the land. We crossed the water. They'll lose our scent. Hannah hesitated. What if it's too deep? Liam shrugged. Then we swim. Without waiting, he grabbed her hand and jumped in. The river was freezing. The current pulled at them, but Liam kept a firm grip on Hannah's wrist. Behind them, the helicopter hovered, but its searchlight couldn't penetrate the water's surface. Liam held Hannah under for a few seconds, letting the current carry them downstream. When they finally surfaced, the mercenaries were still searching the wrong area. For now, they were safe. They crawled onto the river bank, soaked and shivering. Hannah hugged her arms. Is it always like this? Liam squeezed water from his shirt. Like what? Running, fighting, never knowing if you're going to survive. Liam thought for a moment. No, but it's been a long time since life was anything else. They found shelter in the ruins of an old diner. It smelled like rust and wet earth, but it was safe, for now. Hannah sat on the floor, her back against the counter. Do you think they'll stop looking for me? Liam shook his head. Not as long as they think you're valuable. Hannah hugged her knees. You know what's funny? Before the world ended, people thought money was the most important thing. Now, people are the new currency. Liam sighed. She was right. The rich survived, Hannah continued. They left before everything collapsed. But instead of helping, She shook her head. They just started buying people instead. Liam frowned. He had always known the world was broken, but hearing it from her made it real. He checked his rifle. Then we make sure they don't buy you. They didn't get to rest for long. By morning, the mercenaries had found them again. A voice echoed through a speaker. Surrender the girl, and we'll let you live. Liam rolled his eyes. They're really persistent. Hannah grabbed his sleeve. What do we do? Liam smirked. We stop running. He handed her a pistol. Remember what I taught you? Hannah's hands shook as she took the weapon. Yeah. Liam loaded his rifle. This wasn't just about survival anymore. It was about making sure no one else went through what Hannah had. It was time to fight back. Liam sat by the fire, watching the flames dance against the broken walls of their shelter. Hannah sat across from him, hugging her knees. Her face was smudged with dirt, her hands still shaking from the fight. You said you know something you're not supposed to, Liam finally said. What did you mean? Hannah hesitated. Then, in a whisper, she said, They're lying to us. Liam frowned. Who? The people in power. The ones who left when the world collapsed. They act like there's nothing left. But there is. They have supplies. Medicine. Food. They just don't want to share it. Liam's jaw tightened. He had always suspected as much, but hearing it confirmed made his blood boil. Hannah hugged herself. That's why they want me. I found proof. Liam's instincts screamed at him. This was bigger than he thought. And now, he was tangled in it. The silence of the night was shattered by the deep, rumbling sound of approaching vehicles. Liam and Hannah barely had time to react before the searchlights lit up the ruins. Move! Liam yanked Hannah to her feet, and they ran. Gunfire erupted behind them. Bullets tore through the stone walls as they weaved through the wreckage. A truck screeched to a stop up ahead, cutting off their escape. Hannah panicked. We're trapped. Liam's mind raced. Think. Then he spotted an old sewer tunnel leading underground. This way. He shoved her toward it. Hannah hesitated. What if there's something down there? Liam glanced back. The mercenaries were closing in. We'll deal with it when we get there, he said. And then they jumped into the darkness. The underground tunnel was cold and damp, the air thick with mildew. Liam moved cautiously, his knife drawn. Something about this place felt wrong. Hannah shivered. I hate this. Liam smirked. You and me both, kid. Suddenly, a low growl echoed through the tunnel. Hannah's breath hitched. What was that? Liam exhaled. Keep moving. Then, from the shadows, a pair of glowing eyes appeared. Hannah gasped. Liam! Run, he said. They took off, sprinting to the tunnel as the creature lunged. Liam barely had time to raise his knife before the thing crashed into him, knocking the wind from his lungs. He hit the ground hard, his vision blurred. He had seconds before it tore him apart. Then a gunshot rang out. The creature yelped and stumbled back. Hannah stood there, her hands trembling, the pistol still smoking. Liam groaned, pushing himself up. I thought you didn't know how to shoot. Hannah swallowed hard. I'm learning. They emerged from the tunnels miles away from the ruins. The mercenaries had lost their trail. For now, Liam stared up at the night sky. It was the first time in years he had seen the stars without smoke blocking them. Hannah sat beside him, exhausted. Do you think we'll make it? Liam glanced at her. To the Covenant? She nodded. He sighed. He had always believed hope was a dangerous thing. But looking at Hannah now, he realized maybe it was the only thing keeping him alive. We'll try, he said. Hannah smiled weakly. That's enough. By morning, they reached the old railway station. The train that was rumored to take survivors west was real, and it was leaving soon. But there was one problem. The station was crawling with guards. Liam clenched his jaw. We'll never get through that. Hannah looked at him, determination in her eyes. Then we make a plan. Liam smirked. I like the way you think. The journey wasn't over. The real fight was just beginning. The train station was a mess of chaos. Guards shouting, traders bargaining, and desperate survivors hoping for passage. Liam and Hannah crouched behind a broken-down truck, watching it all. The train leaves in 10 minutes, Liam muttered. That's our window. Hannah swallowed hard. And if we don't make it? Liam didn't answer. Failure wasn't an option. He scanned the crowd until he spotted a man loading crates onto the train. He nudged Hannah. That's our guy. They approached cautiously. The trader eyed them with suspicion. You looking for a ticket? Liam nodded. Something like that. The trader smirked. Ain't free, you know. Liam held up his rifle. How about a trade? The man's grin widened. Now you're speaking my language. Hannah watched as Liam handed over his only weapon. Was this what trust looked like? The supply cart was dark, smelling of rust and old metal. Liam and Hannah crouched behind crates as the train jerked forward. Hannah let out a shaky breath. We did it! Liam wasn't so sure. He had spent too many years surviving to believe in easy victories. He was right. A low voice came from the shadows. You two don't belong here. Liam's hand instinctively went to his hip, but his gun was gone. Damn it! 2 men stepped forward. Survivors, but not the kind you trusted. Hannah tensed. What do we do? Liam met her gaze. We talk our way out. The bigger the 2 men crossed his arms. People don't just sneak onto this train for fun. Where are you running from? Hannah hesitated. Liam answered for her. Same thing you are, death. The man studied them for a moment. Then he grinned. Fair enough. Liam exhaled. Crisis avoided. For now, the train rattled forward, carrying them toward an uncertain future. Hours passed. Hannah dozed off, her head resting against the crate. Liam watched her sleep. She was stronger than she realized. She had faced death, fought back, and refused to give up. For years, Liam had believed the world had nothing left to offer. But now he wasn't so sure. Maybe there was still something worth fighting for. Dawn broke over the wasteland as the train sped west. Hannah stirred. Are we close? Liam sighed. Not yet, but we're getting there. For the first time in a long while, he allowed himself to believe. Maybe, just maybe, the Covenant was real. But as the train roared across the ruined landscape, neither of them noticed a shadowy figure watching them from the next cart. And he had a radio. Target located. The man whispered, "They're on the train." The air inside the cargo cart was thick with dust and tension. Liam could feel it, the presence of an enemy lurking just out of sight. His gut told him to move. "Stay close," he whispered to Hannah, stepping forward carefully. The train rattled. Metal groaned. Then a flash of movement. A mercenary lunged from the shadows, knife gleaming. Liam twisted just in time. The blade sliced through his jacket, missing his ribs by inches. Hannah gasped, "Liam!" Liam spun, grabbing the man's wrist. They struggled, bodies slamming against the crates. Hannah reached for something. Anything. Her hands found a rusted wrench. With a shout, she swung it. The impact sent the mercenary staggering, and Liam didn't waste the opportunity. He slammed the man against the door and kicked him out of the train. Silence. Liam panted, looking at Hannah. "Nice swing." Hannah exhaled shakily. "I figured it was my turn." Liam grinned. "You're learning." As the adrenaline faded, Hannah sat down against a crate, her mind racing. The mercenary's face. She had seen him before. Liam noticed her expression. "Something wrong?" Hannah hesitated. Then, softly, she said, "They're not just mercenaries." Liam's brow furrowed. "What do you mean?" Hannah swallowed hard. "They used to be government." Liam stiffened. "Of course. That's why they had helicopters. Why they had resources. They weren't just hired guns. They were the last remnants of the old world. And they wanted to rebuild it on their terms." Liam cursed under his breath. "That means they won't stop coming." Hannah met his gaze. "Then we don't stop either." Liam smirked. She was tougher than he thought. The train roared across the wasteland, carrying them toward the Covenant. If it was real, Liam leaned against the window, staring at the horizon. He had lived in silence for so long. Alone, isolated. Now there was Hannah, a girl who refused to give up. A girl who reminded him that, even in a broken world, hope was still alive. "You're thinking too hard," Hannah muttered, breaking his thoughts. Liam chuckled. "Just thinking how much quieter my life used to be." Hannah smirked. "Boring, you mean?" Liam rolled his eyes. Maybe she was right. The sun was setting when Liam's instincts kicked in again. Something was wrong. He peered through the cracks of the cart door and froze. Ahead, the train tracks had been blocked. A group of armed men waited near the blockade, their weapons raised. Hannah saw them too. "Is that?" Liam clenched his fists. "They were waiting for us." The train screeched as it began to slow. Liam turned to Hannah. "Whatever happens, stay behind me." Hannah shook her head. "No, we fight together." Liam exhaled. Damn stubborn kid. The train came to a stop. The doors were yanked open, and the final fight began. The gunfire was deafening. Liam fired first, taking down 2 men before they could react. Hannah moved with precision, using every lesson Liam had taught her. She wasn't a helpless girl anymore. But the mercenaries were many. Liam gritted his teeth. They were losing ground. Then a whistle. A second train appeared on the horizon, its horn blaring. Hannah's eyes widened. "Is that?" Liam nodded. "The Covenant." Reinforcements arrived, opening fire on the mercenaries. The battle turned. And when the dust settled, Liam and Hannah stood among the victors. Breathing heavily, Liam looked at Hannah. "You still want to find your brother?" Hannah smiled. "More than ever." Liam nodded. "Then let's go." The Covenant was real, and their journey was far from over. Liam stood over Zephyr, gripping his gun tightly. The mercenary leader was beaten, but his smirk hadn't faded. "You think this ends with me?" Zephyr sneered, blood dripping from his mouth. "The rich will always find new dogs to hunt for them." Liam considered pulling the trigger, but Hannah's voice stopped him. "No more killing," she said softly. Liam exhaled, lowering his gun. "Lock him up." The Covenant soldiers dragged Zephyr away. Liam turned to Hannah. "You sure you're ready for this?" Hannah nodded. She wasn't a helpless girl anymore. The moment Hannah saw her brother, Time seemed to stop. Doug was older, leaner, but his eyes still held the warmth she remembered. "Hannah!" His voice cracked with emotion. Tears spilled down her cheeks. "Doug!" She ran into his arms, sobbing against his chest. Liam watched from a distance. This was her home now, and his job was done. That night, Liam sat alone by the fire. Hannah found him there. "You don't have to leave." Liam sighed. "This place is for people like you. People who still believe in something." Hannah frowned. "And what do you believe in?" Liam stared at the flames. He wasn't sure anymore, but for the first time, he wanted to find out. The next morning, Liam packed his bag. At the gates, Hannah stood waiting. "You're really going?" Liam nodded. Hannah pressed a small, worn photo into his hand. "So you don't forget me." Liam looked at it. Her and Doug, before the world ended. His chest tightened. "I'll be back," he said, surprising himself. Hannah smiled. "I'll hold you to that." Then Liam boarded the train. As the train sped away, Liam stared out at the horizon. He had spent a lifetime running. Now, for the first time, he was searching for something greater. A voice crackled over the radio. "If you're out there, the Covenant is real." Liam smirked. Maybe, just maybe, his journey wasn't over yet.